Did you know that according to the Anxiety and Depression Association of America states that 1 in 13 people suffer from anxiety? It also states that depression is the leading cause for disability worldwide. With people being diagnosed and left untreated, we see nearly 1 million people take their own lives each year. With each year, mental health issues are becoming problematic for many kinds of people. So why is awareness important? Awareness is important to help combat the rising issues of either of the diagnoses. It is a growing problem in this world that many people do not like to talk about. So let's go ahead and look at what are some of the causes, the effects, and the resources of these conditions. So before I start, I would like to tell you what the definition of anxiety is. Anxiety can be defined as feelings of worry, nervousness, and unease of an imminent event. Depression is also defined as a mental health disorder characterized by persistently depressed feelings, loss of interest in activities that can cause impairment in daily life. So what are some of the key factors that can cause a person to be diagnosed with anxiety and or depression? Some of the key factors are going to be genetics, trauma, environmental, and physiological factors. So what many people don't know about genetics is that genetics can play an important role as to whether someone can inherit anxiety and or depression. Whether you inherit anxiety or depression, trauma is not immune to anybody. Trauma is often described as a distressing event, and anything that makes a person feel uncomfortable, uneasy, anxious, or nervous can be described as trauma. The next thing is psychological factor. Psychological factor damages the brain and leaves people feeling anxious, and it often coincides with trauma. The next thing is environmental factors. The factors that that stay with you after a traumatic event. Such things such as the event of 9/11. Some of the environmental factors that many of the people face, even today, are sleep apnea, post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, depression, and even respiratory disease. So now that we know what some of the causes are for anxiety and depression, we will now talk about the patterns of behavior and the effects that it has on people who suffer from these conditions for long periods of time. Some of the patterns of behavior for anxiety is feelings of danger or panic, rapid heart breathing, sweatiness, feelings of nervousness and powerless. And some of the other patterns of behavior for depression can make you feel worthless, can make you feel sadness and tiredness, and even disturb your sleep and appetite. Well, there's my slide for genetics. The genetics links to anxiety and depression. And next, these are just the behavioral examples of what depression and anxiety can have. Oftentimes, depression and anxiety coexist, so they both can leave you restless. They can cause agitation and excessive worry. The effects of anxiety can be everlasting, and they can affect people for long periods of time. And although these patterns of behavior affect people for long periods of time, there are now resources available to help combat those issues. So what are some of the resources that are available? Some of the resources that are available are in-person and online person counseling, Pinterest, community health groups, self-help apps, the suicide hotline, and medication are just some of the very small resources that are available to those who suffer from these conditions. What I do encourage is to encourage people to know what these symptoms are and to know that one resource may or may not work for someone else. So look around you. Have you noticed anyone that's particularly anxious or even nervous or even depressed? I encourage you to be an open line of communication. Help get the knowledge and awareness that is out there for anxiety and depression, and help be one of the reasons why people don't take their lives each year. And these are the resources available for anxiety and depression. And then what can we do to prevent others from having to suffer from anxiety and depression? Thank you.